The first photograph ever taken, 1826 or 1827. General William Tecumseh Sherman, circa 1865. The photographic artwork by Philippe Halsman called Dali Atomicus, showing 3 cats, water, an easel, a chair, and Salvador Dali all frozen in mid-air, 1948. This was the 28th attempt at taking this photograph. The Solvay Conference on Quantum Mechanics, 1927. First cousins and royals, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, left, and King George V of the United Kingdom, right, photographed together wearing military uniforms in Berlin, Germany, 1913. The construction of the Manhattan Bridge on the East River in New York City. This photograph was taken on March 23, 1909. The bridge finished construction in 1909 and first opened up on the 31st of December, 1909. Soviet prisoner of war, 1940. Dr. Werner von Braun, an aerospace engineer that was a leading figure in Nazi German rocket technology and then United States rocket technology, photographed standing in front of 5 F-1 rocket engines in circa 1969. Thich Quang Duc, a Buddhist monk performing self-immolation, setting himself on fire in Saigon on June 11, 1963, in protest to the persecution of Buddhists by the South Vietnamese Roman Catholic Christian government. Joseph Stalin, left, Franklin Roosevelt, center, and Winston Churchill, right, on the veranda of the Soviet legation in Tehran during the conference in November 1943. Rosa Parks being fingerprinted by Lieutenant D.H. Lackey as one of the people indicted as leaders of the Montgomery bus boycott on February 22, 1956. She was one of 73 people rounded up by deputies that day after a grand jury charged 113 African Americans for organizing the boycott. 12. Soldiers of the Coldstream Guards, left to right, Joseph Numa, John Potter, and James Deal, photographed in circa 1856. The Crimean War was fought between October 1853 and February 1856. A photograph of the Boulevard du Temple in Paris, in France, in 1838. It was taken by Louis Degas and shows a person having his boots polished near the bottom left of the photograph. It is believed to be the earliest image to show a living person. 26th President of the United States, 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, jumping over a fence while on horseback in circa 1902. The famous French landmark, the Eiffel Tower, photographed on November 23, 1888 during its construction. The construction lasted from January 1887 until March 1889. Prisoners that were held in Buchenwald concentration camp near Weimar in Germany, photographed after they were liberated by the U.S. troops of the 80th Division. This photograph was taken on the 16th of April, 1945, 5 days after liberation. Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel can be seen on the second row, 7th from left. The final photograph taken by Vladimir Lenin. He is seen with his sister Anna Ilyanichna Yelizarova Ulyanova and his doctor A.M. Kozhevnikov in Gorky in May 1923. A photograph on the USS Bunker Hill aircraft carrier after it was hit by 2 kamikazes within 30 seconds on the 11th of May 1945 off of Kyushu, Japan. 372 died and 264 were wounded. Suffragette leader Emmeline Pankhurst being carried away from Buckingham Palace in London, England after being arrested while trying to present a petition to King George V of the United Kingdom, 21st May 1914. Neil Armstrong after walking on the moon, 1969. The famous photograph, The Valley of the Shadow of Death, taken on 23 April 1855 by Roger Fenton during the Crimean War. This war was the first that was documented with photographs. Former President, then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, William Howard Taft, administering the oath of office to 31st U.S. President Herbert Hoover on the east portico of the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on March 4, 1929. A group of Japanese samurai photographed in front of the Sphinx in Giza, Egypt during a visit to the country, 1864. The completed head of the Statue of Liberty on display at the Third Paris World Fair, Exposition Universelle, in Paris, France, in 1878. Sergeant Stubby, the most decorated dog of World War I, photographed wearing his military uniform and badges in circa 1920.
Martin Luther King Jr. photographed among a crowd during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963. At this event, MLK delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. One of the most famous photos in history, lunch atop a skyscraper, was taken on the 20th of September 1932 and shows workers enjoying lunch while sitting on a steel beam in Manhattan, New York City, during the construction of the Rockefeller Center. Geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor and meteorologist Charles Wright photographed on the 5th January 1911 at the entrance of a grotto in the side of an iceberg with the Terra Nova ship in the background. This was a part of the British Antarctic expedition led by Captain Robert Falcon Scott, which lasted from 1910 to 1913. A Bedouin warrior, a nomadic Arab people who have historically inhabited the desert regions in North Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq, and the Levant, photographed in Jerusalem in 1900. 9 monarchs at King Edward VII's funeral, 1910. Citizens of Antwerp, Belgium, coming out on the streets a few hours after the announcement of the armistice to celebrate the end of the First World War. This historical photograph was taken on 11 November 1918. The train wreck at Montparnasse Station in Paris, France, on or near the 22nd October 1895. The first detailed photograph of the moon, taken by John W. Draper from the rooftop observatory at New York University on the 26th March 1840. The first inauguration of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, taking place at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on March 4, 1861. Another feature of this image is that you can see that the dome of the Capitol building is under construction. The second dome was built between 1855 and 1866. The troops of the Eight Nations Alliance posing for a photograph in China, 1900. A circa 1936 photograph of Gutzon Borglum's model for the Mount Rushmore National Memorial. This shows that the original plan was for the heads to also have bodies and hands. This came to an end when Gutzon died in 1941, and then the project ran out of money after his son took over. Harriet Tubman, later in life, at the age of 89, photographed sitting on a chair at her home in Auburn, New York in 1911. The testing of a bulletproof vest while onlookers watch on in interest in Washington, D.C. on the 13th of September 1923. Famous French Impressionist painter Claude Monet standing on a bridge with a visitor in his garden in Giverny, France in 1922. One of only 2 photos that exist of the U.S. Supreme Court in session, photographer Eric Solomon pretended to have a broken arm and hid a camera in his cast to take this image. It is illegal for cameras to be in the courtroom while the U.S. Supreme Court is in session. This was taken in 1932 during the Hughes Court. Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes is in the center of the photo. The oldest surviving aerial photo is of Boston in circa 1860. It was taken by photographer James Wallace Black from a hot air balloon 2,000 feet in the air. The people of Philadelphia, United States, looking at a new map of Europe following the changes as a result of World War I, 1918. This map was also displayed in Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Washington, D.C. One of the last surviving veterans of the American Revolutionary War, Lemuel Cook, photographed in 1864. He served in the 2nd Continental Light Dragoons of the Continental Army from the age of 16 in 1775 until his discharge in 1784. Cook was wounded in battle multiple times. He died at the age of 106 on May 20, 1966. Cow shoes used by moonshiners during the Prohibition era to hide their footprints, June 18, 1924. Believed to be the final photograph of Nicholas II of Russia. It shows him at Tsarskoye Selo as guards watch on after his abdication, taken at some point after March in 1917. The RMS Titanic passenger liner in Southampton, England, just before it left for its maiden voyage to New York City on April 10, 1912. The Titanic sank after striking an iceberg in the early hours on the 15th of April, in which an estimated 1,500 died of the 2,200 passengers and crew on board. Sergeant William Henry Black Death of the 369th Infantry Regiment, Harlem Hellfighters, wearing his Croix de Guerre medal in circa 1918. In North France, Johnson single-handedly fought off a German raiding party, receiving 21 wounds in order to save fellow soldier Private Needham Roberts. President Franklin D. Roosevelt shakes hands with a young Lyndon B. Johnson, while Governor James Allred of Texas stands between them both in Galveston, Texas on May 12, 1937. Legendary boxer Jack Dempsey, left, mock-punching illusionist and stuntman Harry Houdini, center, while legendary boxer Benny Leonard, right, holds on to Houdini. The photograph was taken at a publicity event in circa 1920s.